Hello everyone, today is the first part in my introduction to Microsoft Word. Before we continue in Microsoft Word, I want you to know that it is important to learn the shortcuts. When you first open Microsoft Word, you will be in this screen. You have a few options here. Uh, the first option is to start a blank document or choose from the many templates that are available to you in Microsoft Word here. Uh, if you have opened other Microsoft Word documents before, they will be here in this area, and then you can choose that to open that document and start working on it. For this exercise, we will select the blank document and start from there. Once you have selected blank document, it will take you to this screen. And let's take a look at the user interface of Microsoft Word. At the top is the file name. And right now, this is a blank document, so I haven't uh, made any changes and I haven't saved it. So this is just a generic name for it. Once you save your document, this will change. Okay, and if we go below that is the tabs, right? And if you remember in File Explorer, there are a couple of tabs, but in Microsoft Word, there are many tabs, right? So these are the tabs for Microsoft Word, and within each tab, there are more options and more tools, right? So in each tab, um, Microsoft calls this the ribbon, okay? So in each ribbon, there are groups, and in each group, there are the tools for that group, okay? So for example, in the Home tab, there is the Clipboard group, okay? And these are the tools available in this group. And this is a different group, the Font group, and these are the tools available for that group, okay? And they are related to fonts, right? If you go over to the Paragraph group, these are the tools available, and these are the tools that will change how your paragraph looks like, right? And if you go over one more, you'll see the styles, and then the last group in the Home tab is the editing group, and these are the tools right here. If we go down right here in the center, this is your paper. And if I click my paper, you can see the blinking text cursor. And if I start typing, it will start there. Next, let's take a look at the bottom right hand side. And these are the view options for your document. And you can zoom in to your document by dragging this little box right here. Right now, I'm at 100% view. If the text is too small, you can zoom in so that it will be easier to read. But you could just drag this little block right here to the right to zoom in, and you can see the zoom has increased. Or you can click this little plus icon or this minus icon to decrease the zoom. So let me put it back at 100. And to the left of that are three options. And for this class, we will be using only two of those options. And the first one is the print layout view. And this is the default view. So whenever you open a document or you start a new document in Microsoft Word, it will be in this view print layout. And all that means is that whatever you see here in your document, when you go to print, it's gonna print exactly like how it looks like. There is also the read mode, and let me open up a document to show you what that looks like. So let me minimize this one. I have this document open, And let me choose read mode and you will see what happens, okay? Let me choose read mode. And if you see, it has changed into like a book, so a reading mode, right? Because you read books. And you can flip the pages by clicking this arrow to the right or to the left, or you can scroll with your middle mouse. And in this mode, it's only for reading. You cannot make any edits, right? So I can't put the blinking text cursor anywhere, right? So I cannot make any changes even if I try. Okay, this mode is only for reading. And if you notice, the text is bigger as well, so it is easier for you to read. If we want to go back to edit, all we need to do is click this print layout on the bottom right hand side again, or you can go up here to the view option and choose edit document. Okay, either way, it will take you back to edit your document. And then the last thing that I want you to look at in the user interface is the bottom left hand side. There's only two options here for you to see. The first one is how many pages. Okay, so right now I am looking at page 1 of 2, although I have both pages open right now. And to the right is how many words I have in this document. So right now I have 1,040 words, right? So this is a quick way for you to see how many pages and how many words are in your document. Let's go back to my blank document and let's type something. So I have made some changes to this blank document and I want to save it. So let's go to File, the File tab, and let's look at the two options, right? You have Save and Save As. And what is the difference and which one do we use? Save, the first option here, is basically to update your document, to save any updates or any changes to your document that you already have saved. Uh, for now, this is a blank document, right? So I have not made any changes. So uh, Microsoft Word will want me to save it as, right? And this save as is to save a copy, right? So let me choose save and we'll see what that means. So I'm gonna choose save for now. And as you can see, it changed to save as. And if you look right here, right, it says save as. And it's asking me to save a copy of this document. Since this is the first time that I'm saving this document, it's going to save the very first copy for me. If I have already saved this document, okay, and if you choose save as, you can make another copy of the same document, okay. But since this is the first time, I'm going to save it to a folder in my drive. So I'm going to choose browse, and it's going to come up, and then you can just pick your folder that you want to save it to. Make sure you type a file name, okay, and then choose save, okay. So I'm gonna save, and if you look at the title or the file name, sorry, uh, it's the file name that I have saved it as, and it'll be right here, and that is how you know you saved a document. Let's go back to my document that I had opened earlier. And this is my bedtime stories document. And I want to start editing this document. Okay. So, but before I do that, I want you to pay attention to where your blinking text cursor is, right? So right now, it is right here at the start of my document. Okay, and I want you to pay attention to it because any editing that you do, you will do it where your your blinking text cursor is. So if my blinking text cursor is right here and I uh, start typing, it will type right there, right? If my text cursor is right here next to this, the title of this story, and if I start typing, it will be right there, right? So, or if I want to insert a picture or a graph or a table, it will put it where your blinking text cursor is. So please pay attention to that. Let me undo my changes, okay? And the other thing that I want you to pay close attention to is your mouse cursor, okay? Now, if you look here, and let me zoom in. If you look at my mouse cursor, right, it is this little, uh, it's the big eye, right? It looks like an eye, or they call it the I beam, okay? If I have it moused over my document, it is the eye, right? Now, pay attention. Let me move it to the left. So pay attention to my mouse cursor, to the eye. And as you can see, it changed back into the mouse cursor that we usually see, but it is facing the other way, right? It's pointing the other way. And now let me move it back to the right, and it's changed back to the eye. Okay, so that is the other thing that I want you to pay attention to is the mouse cursor, because it will change depending on where you put it in Microsoft Word. It will do different things for you, and it will help you do different things. So my first thing is, so let me put my name on here. And as you can see, it put it where the blinking text cursor is. Let's say I want to put it in the middle, right? Or in the center, and I want to center align it. Pay attention to the mouse cursor. It has the eye, but it has those little lines right next to it, to the right, right? Let me pay attention to the mouse cursor. I'm going to move it to the right. And let me move it to the right. And as you can see, it changed, right? Those little lines move to under the mouse cursor, right? Or the eye. If I double click here, it will put the mouse cursor, the blinking cursor right there, and I can type, right? The title. So let me put title here. I know it has a title already, but I could put text right there. Now let me move it all the way to the right hand side and pay attention to the mouse cursor. And if you look, it changed the little lines, moved to the left hand side of the eye, right? And if I double click here, it will put my blinking text cursor here, and I could put the date here, for example, 05/15/2020, right? So that is how you add text or start editing text into your document. Now, let's say I want to replace some text and do some edits. Let me zoom in first to make it easier for everyone to see. Let's say I want to replace this word grasshopper. What I can do is I can select this text or this word, and then I can press backspace to delete it. Or once I have the word selected, I can just start typing. Okay, so let me replace this word with beetle. Okay, so the owl and the beetle, and that is how you replace a word. But let's say I want to replace the title, right? So the whole thing. Uh, to do that, I can click here and I can drag my mouse to select the title. But in Microsoft Word, there is an easier way to select the title or to select a line. To do that, so pay attention to the mouse cursor. I'm going to move it to the left. And if you put it all the way over here, it changes into the mouse icon, right? The regular mouse icon, but it's facing to the right. If I hover right here next to the owl and the beetle, the title, and I click, just one click, left click, it will select that line for you, and you can replace the text that way, right? So you can replace it back with the owl and the grasshopper. Okay, and that's how you select text and replace text. Now let's take a look at the cut, copy, and paste tools. Okay, make sure you learn the keyboard shortcuts for those. But if you want to know where the tools are, they are under the Home tab here in the clipboard group. Okay, I don't have anything selected right now, so cut and copy are grayed out. Let's take a look at the first tool, and let me cover copy first. So copy just means it will copy any text that you have highlighted. And so let me copy this word grasshopper. And another way to do a quick selection of any word is to just double click the word. So let me double click grasshopper. So I'm going to mouse over grasshopper and double click, and it will highlight that. And let me copy it. Okay, so I'm going to Control C to copy that word, or I can go up here to the clipboard group and click copy, right? And you don't see anything because what Windows does is it copies that text and it stores it in the memory, right? And it stores it in what's called the clipboard, okay, uh, in Windows. And now that I have copied this, I can paste it, okay? And let me paste it, just paste it right next, just for example. And to paste, I can just use the keyboard shortcut Control V, or I can click the paste tool up here in the clipboard group, right? So let me just click that. And if you can see, this has pasted the word grasshopper, and that is how you copy and paste. Now let's cover the tool cut and why it is different from deleting text. So let's say I don't like this title, the owl and the grasshopper. So let me select that title, and I can just delete the whole thing by pressing backspace, right, to delete the text. But let's say I want to move that text somewhere else, right? So let me undo that, and that's where cut comes in. Okay, so I have this title selected, and I want that title to go somewhere else, right? I want to move it somewhere else. I can cut that text, and what cut does, the tool, is that when you cut some text, it also copies it at the same time. Okay, so let me show you. So let me cut this text that I have selected, the title, and I want to paste it somewhere else, right? I'm going to Control X to cut that text. And let's say I want to put it down here, okay, at the end. So I'm going to click here at the end to put my blinking text cursor there, and I can paste it there, right? And to paste, Control V, and watch. And it has put the owl and the grasshopper, that title there, because when I cut, I also copy, and then now I can paste. And that is the cut tool. There is another way to replace text, and so let's cover the find tool. And the find tool is here in the home tab. If you look at the ribbon all the way to the right in the editing group, you'll see find right here, and it has a magnifying glass for it. Or you can use the keyboard shortcut Control F. Right? So let me use the keyboard shortcut, sorry, Control F, and it will bring up this navigation pan right here on the left hand side of my document, and it's asking me which word I want to look for. So let me find the word owl, so OWL. And if you look at my document, it has highlighted the word or the letters OWL to show me where they are, right? And this is just a temporary highlight, okay? It's not permanent, right? Like the highlight tool, so it's not like that. Uh, and then now you can go in and replace those texts with the find, or if you want to find a certain word in a document. Now I want to replace those texts, but I don't want to do it this way. I don't want to select here and replace. I can use the replace tool. So I'm going to close out of this find navigation pan. And to use the replace tool, it's also up here in the editing group right under find. I'm going to click that, replace. And this window pops up, the find and replace window. And it has remembered my word owl, right? So let me, and there's a few options here for me to replace this word. You can choose the option to replace or replace all, and it will find all the words in your document and replace it, right? So let me replace the word owl. Let me replace it with the word the bird, or the bird. Okay. But the option that I recommend is find next, so that you can see uh, uh, the exact words that you are replacing, right? So let me find the first word, owl. And if you look, it has highlighted owl right here. And it didn't highlight the title word because I had the blinking cursor right here, right at the end of grasshopper. So it will start there, right? So let me undo that. Let me cancel that, and let me put my blinking cursor right here in the beginning of the document, so it will start searching for the word owl from there. So let me click on replace again, and let me click find next. And it has found the first word owl, and I'm going to replace it with the word bird. So I'm going to click on replace, and now it will move to the next word that matches what I want to find, right? Which is owl, O-W. And it's asking me if I want to replace that. I'm going to say yes, I want to replace that word. And it will find the next match. And if you look, that is not owl, right? That belongs to the word slowly. So I will not replace that word because I want to keep that. So I'm going to click on find next. I will not replace it, right? So I'm going to find next, and it has found the next word, owl. I'm going to replace that as well with bird, and also the next one, and the next one, and one more, a couple more. Now, once it has found all of the word owl, right, it'll give you this little pop-up that says that it has finished searching the document for the letters OWL, and you have no more words like that, right? So you can click OK to go back, and you can close this find and replace window, uh, and then you can continue from there. And that is how you use the replace tool. Next, let's cover formatting text. And the first tool that I will be covering is the font tool. So let's say I want to change the font of the first paragraph. I'm going to select this first paragraph by using the shortcut, moving the mouse all the way to the left. Click and drag to select, to do a quick selection of that paragraph. Now, if let's go to the font group, and the font group is here in the Home tab, and in the ribbon you'll see the font group is the second group, and in that group you'll see the name of the font that I am currently using, right? And if I want to change that font, I could click this little down arrow, and then I can mouse over each of the font, and it will show me a quick preview of each font, right? It will change it in your document for you. So let me select this font, and your fonts may not, you may not have the options like me, because I have installed, uh, uh, I've added more fonts to my computer, but and you can do that as well. So it may look different from yours. So I'm gonna select Antonio, and that is how you change the font. Now I want to change the size of the font to be a little bit smaller because it's too big. And to do that, make sure you select the text again, go back to the font group, and if you look right next to the font name, you'll see a number, and that is the font size. Just click the down arrow and select the size that you want. If you don't see the size that you want, okay, let's say I want 7. Okay, it's not here in as an option. I can click the number to highlight it, and I can type 7. Okay, and then press enter to add the changes. Okay, and that is how you change the font size. Now, if we look to the right of the font size, let me make this bigger. Now, if we look at uh, to the right of the font size, you'll see this A with the up arrow and the A with the down arrow. And what that does is it will resize the font one size down or one size up. Okay. And if you look to the right of that, uh, you'll see it, to change the case. Okay. So you can make a selection to be all lowercase or all uppercase, or to capitalize each word, or to toggle the cases, to switch the cases. Okay, so let's do an example with bedtime stories, the title, and I'm going to change the case to all lowercase. Okay, now that I have bedtime story selected, choose lowercase, and it will make every letter in that title lowercase, right? Or if I want all the letters in that to be uppercase, go back and choose change case and change it to uppercase. Or if I just want the first letter of each word to be a capital, right? Go back to change case, and then in the drop down menu, choose capitalize each word. Sometimes some people will press the caps lock button and they will start typing and they will forget to turn it off. And it will probably look like this, right? Where they're gonna will try to shift, uh, click a letter to make it capitalized, but since caps lock is on, it will do the opposite, right? And it will look like this. So in that case, you don't have to delete the sentence and start over, right? You can just toggle the cases. So select your sentence and go to change cases, and then toggle the case, and it will switch it back, right, to be correct. Some of the other tools that are available in the font group are the bold tool. If you want to bold some text, right, to just to make it darker. If you want to make it italic, underline. If you want to color your text, right, It'll be to change the font color here if you want to make it a different color, red, blue, or gray. Uh, and the other option here is if you want to highlight your text, right? So let's say I want to highlight this first sentence. I'm going to choose this highlight and highlight it yellow. And there's also if you want to add effects, they also have it here in the text group. Let me undo this highlight and let me format some text. So let me format owl. Let me just change that to another font, and let me change the color as well. Let me change it to red, and let me make it bold and italic. And you know what, let me just underline it as well. So I will show you the tool Format Painter. Okay, and I'm going to go back to the clipboard group. uh, Format Painter is here, and it's a tool that I use on a regular basis. And what that does, what this tool does, Format Painter, is like the one in Google Docs, right? Paint format, and it copies the format of any text that you have formatted, and copies it to another to other text, right, in your document. So let me show you how that works. So I have formatted this word owl, and I want to apply it to all the other words, right, in my document. I'm going to scroll down a little, and I'm going to select that word, or one letter of that word. I'm going to click format. If I click it once, okay, so let me click it once, and here's another word, owl, and I want to change that as well. It will change that format to be the same as the first owl, right? But now it has unhighlighted Format Painter. So if I want to just keep it highlighted so that I can make many changes, okay, I could double click it, right? So let me highlight owl again, and let me double click Format Painter. So now it will stick, right? It will stay that highlighted. Um, and let me find the other owl. So I'm gonna change this word, and I have to select the whole word that I want to change. Okay, so I'm gonna select owls, and let me find one more. So let me go to this one, and I'm gonna highlight that. And that is how you use the Format Painter, is to apply formats to other words. The last tool that I want to show you in the font group is the Clear All formatting tool. And so let me zoom out so you can see my first story. And the Clear All formatting is in the font group, right? And it's the this icon right here that has an A and a marker in front of it. So let me show you how that works. Let me select my first story, and I want to clear all the formatting that I have done to it, right, that I have applied. So select any text that you want, and then let me click select all of it. And once you have all the text that you want to clear the formatting, click this Clear All Formatting tool, and it will clear all the format that you have made. If you remember, in Google Docs, we used styles to change text into titles or headings. Microsoft Word also has that option, uh, and it is in the Home tab in the Styles group. Okay, there are many options here. So let's try some of them out. Bedtime Stories is my title. So I'm going to select that text, and in the styles group, I'm going to choose title. and it made that text into the title. And I want to choose the first story, and the first story is the bird and the grasshopper. And let me make that a heading 1. Okay, so I'm going to go to styles and choose heading 1, and now it has made that into a heading, right? And the reason why we use it also to make it easier for us to navigate document, and also it enables us to make quick changes to those titles or headings, uh, because we may apply it to many other texts as well in that document. So let me show you that right now. So let me zoom out so I can see the other titles or the other stories. So I made the bird and the grasshopper a heading, and this is the next story, the two goats, and let me make that another heading. And I'm going to choose heading 1 because it's another story. And I'm going to scroll down, and here is my next story, the stag and his reflection. I'm going to select it, and I'm going to choose heading 1 as well. So as you can see, it has changed these stories into headings 1. Okay, and you can edit the heading as well, and it will apply to all the headings that you have made, right? So in headings 1 right here, I can right click and then choose modify. Here in the modify style pop-up window, there are a few options that you can choose from. So you can choose the font type. So let's choose another font. Let's choose to this one. And then you can choose the font size. Let's make it a little bit bigger. You can make it bold, italic, or underline. Let me just choose one. You can choose the color. And let me make it red. And then you have options to align it if you want to align it in the middle or to the right hand side. Let me align it in the middle. And then there are other options that you can choose as well. And so I like that, and I want to apply that change to the heading 1. I'm just going to click OK, and it has changed uh, my heading 1 into, to be red and to a different font. But also, if you scroll down, it has also made the changes to the other two heading that I have made earlier. Now, why did we go through all that trouble of using styles? And let me show you why we use it and why you should use it. Um, it's a very powerful organization tool. So we have only used two of those styles, right? The title and headings, heading 1. So let me show you how to navigate quickly through your document after you have used styles. Let's go to the View tab, and let's check the navigation pane, and it will pop up here on the left hand side. And if you look under headings, it has 3 tabs as well, right? Headings, pages, and results. And let's look under headings, and it will show you if you click each if you have made headings or titles or subheadings like headings 2, right? And headings 3, it will be right here in the navigation pane. If you click the two goats, it will quickly go to that story, and if you click the stag, it will go to that story, right? And let me show you one more thing. If you look at the heading 1 of the owl and the grasshopper, if you look to the left of it, you'll see this little arrow that's pointing, not quite pointing down. If you click it, it will collapse that story. So it will just show only the title. So let me click it to show you. And the story has disappeared, but you can only see the title. Let me collapse the two goats as well, and let me collapse the stag and his reflection. And that doesn't mean that that text is gone. That just means it's hidden and you can only see the title. So let's say if I want to read the Owl and the Grasshopper, I can just click that the little arrow, and it will come back. That text will come back. Uh, and that is one way to use styles. The other way that you can use styles is you can make a table of content. So to make a table of content, you would think that it is in the Insert tab, but it is not. It is in the References tab. So let me click the References tab, and if you look, the first option right here in the table of contents, okay, is the tool. So let me click table of contents, and I can choose how my table of contents could look like, okay, or will look like. Let me just choose the first option here. And as you can see, it has added a table of contents to my document, showing that the first story here is on page 1. So you can imagine if I have many stories and I have many pages, it'll show you the heading for each story, and it'll show you what page it is on. And this is the table of contents that you can add into your document. So styles is very powerful, and please use it. Next, let's look at line and paragraph alignment. So it is in the paragraph group under the home tab, and it's right here next to the font group. And the alignment options are left aligned, center aligned, right aligned, and justify. And I will show you what justify is. But let me go through the other alignments first. So right, the default is the left alignment. So let's put this title in the center. And to do that, we'll go to the paragraph group and choose the center align, and it's this icon right here. If I click it, it will put everything in that line. It will try to center it. If I want to right align, I can choose the right align, and it's this one right here, and it will put that text on the right hand side of your document. Let's take a look at the justify alignment, and let's just look at the first paragraph. If you look at each line, so this is line 1, right, of that paragraph, line 2, line 3, and line 4. If you look at these 4 lines, if you look at the end of each line, uh, line 1 goes all the way to the margin, right? And then line 2, it doesn't go all the way to the margin, right? The last word. And line 3, it's almost there to the margin. And then if you look at line 4 of the first paragraph, right, it doesn't, right? Because there's not enough word in that line. But this is what the justify does. Justify alignment will try to even out the lines. And so let's do that. Let's select the whole story, and then let's choose justify in the paragraph group. So pay attention to the story and while I select justify. Now that I have clicked justify, if you look at line 1, line 2, and line 3, they all end where the margins are, right? So justify will even out your line, and it just makes your text look a little bit nicer. If I want to adjust the line spacing, because let's say that my line spacing, right, each line, the space between each line is too close, I can uh, adjust the line spacing, and it's also in the paragraph group. So let me select my first story again, and I want to increase the line spacing. Just go up to the paragraph group, the line spacing and the paragraph spacing option or tool is this one right here. It has the little two arrows that goes up and down. You can click on it and it'll bring down a drop down menu, and you can select the line spacing for that paragraph, right, that you have selected. So let me choose 1.5, and now I have changed the line spacing. Another way to change line spacing is in the design tab. So let me go to the design tab, and I recommend you change the line spacing when you finish your document, because it does affect how your document will look like. Okay, so I think it's best to do it at the end when you have finished your document and you want to change how it looks. So in the design tab, you can change the line spacing and the paragraph spacing as well. And if you choose the design tab, if you go all the way to the right, you'll see this option that says paragraph spacing. You can select that, and if you look at my document, let me just put my blinking text cursor here, and I'm gonna choose paragraph spacing here in the document formatting group, and I'm going to mouse over each option and pay attention to my text. It's gonna change the text, right? And it'll show me or it'll show you how your text will look like if you choose that option. And that is another way to change the line spacing or the paragraph spacing in your document. Now let me reset my document. So I'm gonna select all, and I'm going to clear all format. And let me scroll down to the story, The Stag and His Reflection. And if you look at that story, the title is here on the first page, but the story is here on page 2, right? Now, is there a way to keep it together? Okay. There's a couple ways to do it. I can just click the line right above it, and I can enter, right, to space it down, and it'll move that to the second page with its story. Another way to do it that I recommend is to use the page break option. Okay, so let's say I want to keep the title with the story. Uh, the way to do it is in the paragraph group. Okay, click this little option right here in the paragraphs group, and if you look in the line and page breaks option or tab, okay, you can choose to keep it with the text. But remember, let me cancel out that. Remember to have your blinking text cursor in that line. Okay, so that is important, right? Where your blinking text cursor is. So let me go back and choose the options for paragraph. And in the line and page break tab, I want to keep that title with its story. So I'm going to click keep with next. So it's going to keep it with the next line. And I'm going to keep the lines together. So I'm going to choose these two options, and I'm going to click OK. And then you'll see what happens. And if you look, the stag in his reflection has moved to the second page, and in that, for that option, it's gonna keep this title with this story. So if I try to move the stag in his reflection back up, it's gonna it's not gonna want to. Okay, and you can force it, but I like it this way because it's trying to keep the title or text together. Next, I want to show you the column option. So I'm going to scroll down to the last two stories, The Frog and the Mouse and The Bundle of Sticks. And I want to make it into a column, and columns goes up and down. And where you see columns are in newspapers, right? They write in columns, or in sometimes in magazines, they do it in columns, right? To make the text easier to read. So let me make these two story into columns. I'm gonna select the frog and the mouse all the way to the next story. And the columns option is in the layout tab. So let me go up here to the tabs. Let me go to layout, and the column option is right here. Okay, and I'm going to click columns, and I'm going to choose the two columns. Okay, so let me choose that option. And if you look, it has changed these two. It has made these two stories into a column, but I have one problem, right? And the title of the second uh, story is here, but I want to keep it together with the story, right? With the paragraphs. So to do that, I have to use the paragraph settings again, right? And another way to access the paragraph settings, you can go back to the home tab, and in the paragraphs, click this little icon right here, and it'll go to paragraph settings. Or I can just right click this line right here, right? So anywhere in this line that I want to make change to, right click, and you'll see paragraph right here as the in the menu, right? In the context menu, select paragraph, and it'll take you to the same, right? The paragraph settings, the line and the page break settings. I want to keep the title, the bundle of sticks, next to the, keep it with the next line, and I want to keep the lines together, right? And click OK. And if you do that, it'll keep the title, or in this case, the title of the story with the story itself. And that's how you use columns. Next, I want to show you how to insert a table and organize that table. So let me minimize this, and let's go back to the first document that we created in the beginning. And to insert the text, you can go to insert table, and we'll insert a table, and let's make a schedule for registration, right? So let's see. I'm gonna make 3 by 3. Let's start with that first, and you could always add more tables. Okay, so let's say I made a 3 by 3, but I want to add another row right here. Let me zoom in a little bit. If you mouse over the table, there are options for you. You could add a table, add another row right here. But let's add a row at the end, right? So let's add a row right here to be a 4 by 3, and let's make the first row a title, so like a schedule, right? A registration schedule. So I'm going to select the first. Let me zoom out of this. Sorry. Select the first row, and let's collapse that row. Okay, and I'm going to choose the layout tab, and these are tabs that will pop up if you insert a table, right? It'll come up right here, and it's a little different from the layout tab right here. It's the layout uh, for the table that you have created. Okay, it's different from these two design and layout tabs, the regular ones. So let's choose the layout tab, and I'm going to merge those cells, okay, into one cell, okay, so that I could put the title, because I don't want three cells in there, right? So in the layouts tab, I'm going to merge those cells, okay. I'm going to click the merge cells, and now I'm going to type in registration date, okay, and let me align that to the middle, okay. And I'm going to choose the alignment. If you look right here, right in the layout tab, it has the alignment right here. I'm going to align it right there, and I want to change the font. Okay, to change the font, you're going to have to go back to the home tab, And I'm going to make that font a little bit bigger. Registration dates. Now I want to start filling out my table. So let me zoom in so it'll be easier for you to see. So the first one here will be ESL. The second one will be CTE. And I'm just pressing the down arrow to go down to the next cell. And the third one I'm gonna do high school. So for ESL, I'm going to let's say registration. Uh, let's put 8 o'clock right here, and this is start. And let me see, it will end. So it will end. It will end. Let's say 12 o'clock. Okay, it ends. So I'm going to put it over here. And let's say I don't want this dividing line right here. I can go to design, and in the border option right here in the borders group, okay, I can, let me mouse over each of these options, and it's the left one, and I can click that and it'll take that line out, right? So this will look a little bit better. I like that. And let's go to CTE, and let me choose so 12 o'clock it will start, and let's say it ends at 3 o'clock. It ends. And let's do the same thing. Let's take this border out. And let's go do high school as well. Let's do 3 to 6. And we'll do the same, start and end. And we'll choose the border. I like to show you one tool that you should leave it on, right? And it's the ruler. If you look at your document right here, this is the ruler on the top. And if you look to the left, this is the ruler on the left, right? And so to enable that ruler, you need to go to the View tab. And in the ruler needs to be checked, the ruler option in the show and the ruler, and I always leave it on because it will help you. So let me show you how. So in my table, okay, I have this dividing line right here, and I have another dividing line right here, right? And let's say I want to move that over or to make that cell smaller or bigger, okay, I can do that using the ruler. and and it will only show if you have the ruler checked, right? So let me move this, and it will move. It will resize the your table. Now I can also keep it bigger over here. I can move that margin back there. And let's say I want to make each row big as well. I can use the ruler over here on the right hand side, okay? And I can choose that and drag this little gray box right here, right? I can drag it to make each uh, cell, or I can edit my table. And that is how you insert a table and edit it. In this table, you can also shade in each cell. So let's say I want to shade the registration dates, this cell right here, the first cell. In the table tools in the design tab, I can go to shading, right? The shading tool, and I can choose a color for that cell. So let me choose this dark gray, and now I can't really see the letters, so let me change the colors of that, right? Of the text. So I'm going to select that text. I'm going to go back to the home tab and choose the text color right here, and let me make it white. And so that is how you can shade a cell in a table and change the text color. So that will be it for part one of starting word, and keep an eye out for part two.